Hello everybody and welcome in to the PGR eSports Intimidator Superspeedway Series, live tonight from Talladega Superspeedway. And we've got one that's a little different than usual, different car. Boy, these things are a beast to handle. It's the 87 series, but before we get more into that, thank you all so much for tuning in. We're watching Austin Green alongside co-host tonight, Matthew Baker. And Baker, I know you're a native to this car. You've ran it quite a bit before. You enjoy it. What are you expecting to see here tonight?
Just expecting to see some chaos. I mean, he's looking at the track temp, 136, the air temp around 87 degrees. It's going to be a hot, slippery one for sure. You got 45 of the best out here. They're going to be driving a couple coming over from another league in Moon Car to try and test their hand at PGR, and it's going to be a good race.
Yeah, we'll see if some of that experience has any role to play here tonight. Before we go any further, let's get right down trackside and get into tonight's starting grid. Here's a guy who's used to the 87s, and that's Kyler Wynn, the Canadian, takes the pole after putting down a 46.745. Sean English starts to his outside in second. It'll be Wyatt Gray back in third with Michael Fritsch to his outside in fourth. And you've got Chase Stewart back in fifth, Wyatt Tinsley sixth, Nathan Harper seventh with Daniel Falkingham, PGR 500 winner, in eighth, Colin Bowden ninth, and then Jeff Byers rounding out your top 10.
Garrett Maines last week winner in 11th, Colin Keister, NASCAR driver, in 12th, Logan York 13th, Sipple around in your 14th position, John Ellis Jr. in 15th, he's no stranger to these cars, Matthew T. Lee in 16th, Peyton Strickland 17th, James Connolly in 18th, Christopher Carter 19th, and Caden Diedrich to round out your top 20.
David Flanagan for the Jack Shack will start 21st in the 23 car. Rock Westmoreland to his outside 22nd. Back in row 12, it'll be Jack Long alongside D3. Daniel Eberhardt in that 90 machine. Tanner Kassinger starts 25th. Jeff Merck 26th for NVG Motorsports. Matthew Stolnick 27th with Jackson Byes 28th. Tyler Vickery and Brian Hennings round out your top 30.
J.R. Miller in 31st. Trevor Algernon for the Shack in 32nd. Dylan Jones 33rd. Sean Corbett 34th. Stephen Miles in 35th and 36th. You got John Moore. James Seawright in 37th. In 38th, Joseph Sullivan. Josh McCullough 39th. And rounding out the 40th spot is going to be Mike Davenport, Christopher McCullough, Tucker McClendon, Kenneth McCullough, and Mark Vondell. Going to round out your 44-car field. Going to be a really good race here. Excited to watch it.
Yeah, excited indeed. Let's look at your race info here just briefly. Again, we're in the 87 series. This is a different car than usual. The old car back in the 87, at least 1987 that is, when these cars were last ran. And 50 laps will be the distance we go here tonight, 100% fuel. We do have 3 sets of tires, no fast repair. Got to keep that in mind. Fixed setups as always, and 3 green light checkers if we need them. And look at that track temp, 137 degrees. It is scorching hot, and that is also going to play a factor in the handling of these race cars here tonight. All right, here we go. Time to try this 87 style. Green flag is in the air. We are racing at Talladega.
Pretty wide towards the back, but up front, it's all shuffled out. 2x2 up front, Sean English, the winner of the anniversary race a couple weeks ago in that 95 Lightning McQueen scheme, getting pushed by Michael P. Frisch. All right, now you're going to see all the cars towards the middle of the field start to get loose. The setup is very, very loose when you're entering the corner. Out of turn 4, Kyler Wynn doing a great job on the bottom as well. He's getting the push from Wyatt Gray there on the bottom side.
And look at the speeds these guys are running already. Up to almost 215 miles an hour as they cross the stripe, complete lap number 1. And as they do so, they stay in a 2x2 formation as they climb the banking into turn number 1. And really, it seems like these cars, Baker, don't quite drive like a typical super speedway car, at least not what these guys are used to. You can't just simply hug the bottom. It's trouble out back. We got one going around here. Let's see if they can save it. Looks like we had one off. They do. That was the 74 of Brian Hennings. Big save early as he got off track coming off a 2. Let's go back and watch this here real quick before we go back live. And just as I was getting ready to talk about it, Baker, one of the things that's different about these cars is they get really tight on the exit, and Brian Hennings looks like just got tight, got into the wall, but man, what a save that was.
Yeah, it was a save. Merck also tapped the wall. It was a little less damage for him back there towards the 34th, 35th position. But up front, Michael B. Frisch, no stranger to the front in these cars, takes the lead with the push from Falkingham. I believe Falkingham, Frisch, and Garrett going to be working together. That is Garrett Maines in the one car towards the back of that wagon Chevrolet. And I love seeing all these new different paint schemes. It's a little bit tougher to call because it's not your normal players, not your normal paint schemes. But Colin Bowden in that 69 Victory Fuel Machine giving a good push to Jeff Byers. Jeff Byers, a name I am not familiar with, but man, he's making himself familiar with the front, running in the top 5.
Has not taken him long to figure it out, that's for sure. We do have a couple of driver cams here tonight. I jumped the gun a little bit, excited to see what it looks like from these guys' point of view. And so first up, we'll start back in the 23rd position. That's Tyler Vickery as Oh Trouble. We'll hold that thought further back.
Looks like 2 cars around.
2 cars off. One of them's Merck and one of them's Christopher McCullough. Looks like Jeff Merck has immediately towed it to the pits, and as has Christopher McCullough. Those 2 cars destroyed.
You gotta go back and watch Jeff Merck. I mean, pancake mollywopped.
Oh my goodness, those 2 cars are destroyed. And Jeff Merck's going to get up into the air here. So this is going through 3 and 4. We heard in practice some of these guys complaining about how loose the setup was. And boy, he was pretty much trying to save that car from about the entrance of turn 3 onward here, Baker. And just never really gets a grip on it. The back end starts to go out. He's trying to save it, gets onto the apron. And then just continues to slide. Eventually works back up, overcorrects, and bam! Right up into the outside wall. He goes up and over. And that car going to do a couple of barrel rolls before eventually lands back on all 4 and just immediately takes it to the pits. That's a brutal start for Jeff Merck. And then obviously you saw Christopher McCullough, the car that came along and hit him. That is going to be 2 nights over with early and doesn't draw a caution either, so we stay green up front.
Yeah, looked like that field goal would have been good from about 30, 35 yards with the way Christopher McCullough punted him out of the way. But you can see Colin Bowden, he's going to get clear back up front with Falkingham towards the leads. Tinsley gave Kyler Wynn a good shot when he got split out 3 wide. But these guys, calm, cool, and collected. Just a couple car incidents towards the back. Not many people used to this setup. But all right, what is that? Ugly purple machine towards the middle. Oh, that's Logan York in the O2. It looks like Grimace trying to run around the track with all the other regular cars.
Absolutely, Logan York. Seems like he always runs a little bit of an off paint scheme, but don't let that trick you. He is going to be at the front here by the end of the night. Matthew Stolnek just to his outside right now in that 18th position as they continue to work to the front. Your PGR 500 champion Daniel Falkingham continues to lead the way. I thought I might have heard something the other day, Baker, that Mooncar made taps that this guy may not be considered a top 5 Mooncar driver. He looks pretty top 5 to me right now as he continues to lead the field in these 87s. But right on the inside, Colin Bowden, Michael Fritsch getting tandemed up here. That was actually Kyler Wynn doing the push-in. And as they just were about to get a run, Falkingham jumped down to cut that momentum off.
Well, the 46 gets a little bit sideways. Sorry to cut you off, but he's in that old McDonald's midnight scheme, right when McDonald's started releasing that they were going to be 24-hour service. That was one of my favorite schemes that Bill Elliott used to run in that 46, that number 8 car towards the back, getting tight right in front of Logan York as well. But yeah, Daniel Falkingham was the winningest car in Mooncar for 2024. So I don't know what many of those people were talking about, but the owners over there at Mooncar do know what they're talking about because they know Falkingham is one of the best. But you know, 5 of the best, even though some of them may be banned sometimes from that league, are running up front. You got Falkingham, Bowden, Frisch, Tinsley, and Kyler Wynn leading the field. Sean English has been making appearances over there as well. He's in the 6th position. Garrett Maines, he doesn't run over there, knows how to run these cars well. Ran well in the Firecracker 400 a couple years ago, and knows how to get it done in this car. Matthew Stolnek making his way to the front as well. Tight clear for Garrett Maines there to the bottom side, but he makes it work.
I'll tell you what, I was looking back here, and I mean, we have got guys doing everything they can. And there you go. I was going to say everybody's doing everything they could just to hold on to these cars, and surprised we didn't have a caution yet, but now we do, and trouble involving a couple of cars right here. One of them is going to be Matt Lee, who is being scored on that 32nd spot right now after this incident is kind of going to clear up here, and looks like just a few spots in front of him is going to be, was that James Seawright, I believe, the other car involved? Yes, it was. And he's immediately going to tow it to the pits. And looks like those may have been the only 2 involved, or at least the main 2 that get damage out of this. First yellow of the night, but not necessarily the first incident. Let's see where it goes wrong here.
It's like the 41 gets up into the wall, 75 collects Eberhardt, and they're checking up for the outside. And then James Seawright doesn't see too right, goes straight into the back of Daniel Eberhardt, gets clobbered.
And we'll show you that again here, slow motion. You heard Baker just break it down. So watch the 90 of Eberhardt. That's Caden Dieterich, by the way, in the 41 as they're coming up off the corner. Gets a little loose, a little tight at the same time, but either way, he gets up the track into the outside wall, 75, nowhere to go. That stack up makes it all the way back to right around Daniel Eberhardt, and then it's on from there, and that's where it really starts to collect a few of the big hitters here. James Seawright involved in, I think he gets arguably the worst of this. Watch as he gets turned once this stack up makes it all the way back. So here you go. Watch as they get off the corner. There's Dieterich in the wall with 75, nowhere to go. Neither does Eberhardt. That gets Eberhardt back into the outside, and I mean, not only do these cars have a ton of momentum, Baker, but they take forever to stop. I mean, it's like driving a tank around the racetrack. And just no chance for the 8 to be able to get checked up with how quick things unfolded. He gets clobbered in the back. Doesn't look like anybody gets airborne this time, but certainly a couple of big hits here. As you see the 29 going around as well. He got collected, and I initially said no one got airtime, but looks like Matt Lee, the collision he had down the racetrack, we may have saw some airtime right there. Is that the 78 machine, it looks like, of J.R. Miller?
Well, you know, after the past 2 weeks that we've had racing, hopefully I'm not jinxing it, but that was one of our longest green flag runs. 9 laps in a car that not many people are very familiar with, so good on for the front runners. Not really throwing the haymakers that you're going to see later on in the race, but you're going to see some alternating pit strategy here. You only got 2 tire sets there inside the box. You've had one on. You've ran about 10 laps. I think Kyler Wynn going to come in, top off on fuel. He knows how loose this car is going to get. You're going to see who understands the setup and who doesn't. Jeff Byer is going to be another one. Sean English. But up front, looks like you've got the pros staying out. Daniel Falkingham, Colin Bowden, Michael P. Frisch, White Tinsley, and Garrett Maines.
And we just look back at that incident for J.R. Miller here from a couple more views. After that initial hit, he broke suspension, may have had a technical malfunction as well, and the throttle sticks. I don't know what it is, but he takes another shot off the outside wall that looks pretty much like a carbon copy of Jeff Merck. Look at this thing get up in the air. It's going to flip over. Lucky that he doesn't really get tagged by anybody else, but that's going to end a couple more nights. And, you know, a lot of cars, Baker, with no faster power, I feel like you can kind of get back into it to a degree. This car kind of feels like not so much. We've already seen quite a few big hitters out of this race early with major damage.
Yeah, it's you know, the new damage model helps this car a little bit, but you're still going so fast that any hit to the front end is going to really, really hinder your progress throughout this race. You can get damage repaired off, but that engine can take damage pretty quick, and so can the left and right fronts.
Absolutely. Well, tell you what, exciting things coming up for PGR. Obviously, just wrapped up the 500. What a special event that was. Had a ton of fun, both helping call and race in that. Certainly looking forward to the SummerSlam 499. We got a ways till that, but the thing that we've only got a couple weeks till is March Madness. And I'll tell you what, there's a lot of events that you can see similarities to, but I don't know if I've seen anything in iRacing quite similar to the format of the way PGR runs that. 32-car, truck bracket. And again, the series that we'll run will actually alternate, but the bracket's the same as real-life March Madness. We'll start with 32 drivers, and they'll pair up, so you'll have 16 head-to-head battles, and each week we will eliminate a certain amount of drivers. At least you'll have one from each head-to-head battle move on. So you go from 32 to 16. Then you'll go from 16 to 8, 8 to 4, 4 to 2, and then we will crown a March Madness champion. So looking forward to that and getting kicked off in a couple of weeks. And we've got some big heavy hitter matchups that are getting lined up, Baker. I think we could see maybe even some teammates get matched up against each other at some points.
Yeah, it's exciting. I love March Madness. It kicks off actually next week is when we are kicking things off for March Madness. So it's coming up a lot quicker than anyone thinks. You know, we're going to have basically it's just going to be Gen 6 and Gen 7 cars. We're trying to move away from the lower tier cars. We love the Xfinity. We love the trucks, but they just both have had really fallen off as in draft models. So I think the Gen 6 and Gen 7 are going to produce some of the best racing we have.
I would have to agree. Looking forward to it. By the way, we got to a couple of our onboard views here so far tonight, or at least one of them, but didn't get much farther with the early caution and some of the chaos that we had going on around the track. So we'll get to that now. Trevor Osranoff of the Jack Shack carrying an onboard view for us here tonight. These will be fun to look at, especially as the race gears up towards the end when things get really, really exciting. So keep an eye on Trevor Osranoff and the 89 machine representing the Jack Shack. Now, we had a brief chance to show him earlier, but not enough to really talk about him for more than a couple seconds. And right now, Tyler Vickery just a spot ahead of Trevor Osronoff, currently up 2 spots from where he started this race at. It's the driver out of Orlando, Florida. And he drives race cars in real life, little 4-cylinder series. Looking to see what he can do on the high banks here tonight. So for Tyler Vickery, a lot of work to do, and he seems to be a little bit upset about something. Not sure if he got himself buried in regards to track position or what, but we'll be keeping an eye on him as he tries to make his way back towards the front. Okay, here we go. Daniel Falkingham, Colin Bowden, 2 current Coke Series drivers getting ready to go back at it as the iRacing.com pace car pulls off. Here we go. 11 laps complete. We still have just under 40 to go. Green flag is back in the air at Talladega, and it's a good restart for the 39 of Falkingham. Bowden's going to match him pretty well, though. And they'll drag race as they cross the start-finish line and go towards the short chute down into turn number 1. Watch for which lane gets organized quicker. Baker, you've had a chance to drive these cars a lot. What is the key on restarts in these versus what we would see in, say, the next gens?
You know, I think it's, you really just have to hold your line all the way to turn 3. That's when you can start to make the move. But after that, it really fans out. So if you're on the bottom, you're gonna roll bottom. If you're in the middle, you're gonna roll middle. No real 3-wide move is gonna happen into 1 and 2. It just takes too long to wind these cars up. But you're gonna see a great job on the bottom, pushed by Michael Frisch, Colin Bowden. He's gonna be on a little bit older tires. You're gonna see the tire advantage really come through here. I think Kylo 1 came by, took 4 fresh tires, so did Stallneck, so did Sean English. They're probably going to sit here, save probably 4 or 5 laps, except for Kylo Ren. He'll try and get to the front as fast as he can, but he may save for a little bit, knows he can get the tires up to temp and start to track down and pick off these cars one by one.
I'm really glad that you mentioned that, because that was the exact thing I was going to talk about next is tire wear. In these cars, it's something that we do not see in any of the other major series, in the sense of how you got to manage these tires. Big move out back, by the way, there. John Ellis Jr. was trying to cover a move from the 42 of Wyatt Gray. Looks like he had no dice right there. Excuse me, that wasn't Wyatt Gray. That was Colin Keister, another one of the Coke Series drivers. Keister able to sneak by, and that Thrustmaster Chevy Monte Carlo. So as he sneaks by, he'll continue his way to the front. But the point that I was getting ready to make here, Baker, with tire saving, and I know you touched on it, is that really this is, I think, the one series where if you have a set of tires left near the end, you can take those tires and still make your way to the front. And if we don't get a late caution, the guy who saved the most tires is going to be the one who has the biggest advantage at the end. But right now, Kyler Wynn being very patient with the way he makes his moves back up towards the front, and they stay 2 by 2. And look at this. These guys are leaving that inside wide open, but it seems like nobody's taking it. Now the 24 dives low. Keister trying to make the move, but what a block right there from the 42 machine. I couldn't tell if that was James Conley or Wyatt Tinsley. Oh my goodness, what a block that was going into turn 3.
Yeah, 42 is going to be Colin Keister. Connolly is in that 24, rolling up on that high side. But you see big move down to the bottom side for the 41. That is Matthew Stallneck. But Kyler Wynn, I told you, he's going to sit here. He's going to save tires. He's going to try and pick people off one by one. You see everyone drifting up through the tribal. It's where he makes his move. They'll drift up through the tribal to the middle lane. Kyler Wynn tries to get that run, shoot under him to the bottom 3 wide, and he keeps picking off cars left and right while he's saving tire.
And mentioning some of the speeds that these guys run on the straights in these cars, when you're in a draft really pushing and shoving, you can get well over 220 miles an hour. And I'm sure we'll see some of those speeds here tonight. But man, setup-wise, I know it's a hot track temp, Baker, but some of these guys look borderline out of control. We saw over 130 degrees to start the race. No real change there. And how do you manage that as a driver, especially in a late race? Let's say you've done everything else right. You've saved tire. You've got enough fuel to go. But when it's go time, I mean, how do you control these cars? It feels like they handle so differently out front versus when you're in a pack.
Yeah, you just can't panic, especially if you're leading the top or bottom line. You're going to get really loose end and then tight off, tight center. So you're going to see a lot of these cars trying to back off their entries. That way they can get, oh man, one almost around out back. He saves it. Great save by Sipple towards the back. He's going to get a push from Tucker McClendon in that 00 to stay with the pack. But like I was saying, it just... it's very, very loose in, and you're going to see Falkingham start to struggle a little bit, and you're going to see the pace really back off. I mean, we're 193 now. We were entering at about 205 and staying about 201, 202 in the corners. So we're about 10 mile an hour off where we were before.
Indeed, as they cross the line this time now, it'll be 17 of 50 laps complete. And fuel mileage-wise, I think it's a little close for these guys, but I have a feeling that they'll be able to make it the rest of the way if they save a little bit, but I'm sure we'll get a caution regardless. And then obviously in that case, it doesn't matter. As far as pushing goes in these cars, big no-no in the corner. If you even get close to a guy, it has a tendency to upset the back of that race car in front of you, much less trying to push. Further back here, we're starting to see this pack get separated just a little bit now. How about Jack Long in the 124 machine? He'll jump in line behind Eberhard, who goes 3 wide down to the bottom. And it looks like a couple drivers with some issues there. Watch out, the 8 car struggling out back here, trying to keep control of this thing. And it looks like he will, but as we look further towards the back of the pack, a lot of drivers that have fallen off the leaders here. We can see that just via the track map. And so they're going to have to get organized and try to catch up pretty quickly, but certainly a lot more separation at packs from these 87s than what we see in either the trucks or the next gens.
Yeah, we're getting some good racing going on up front. Bottom just got split out 3 wide. Frisch was the non-benefactor there. You see Falkingham, he tried to creep up to the top, wasn't clear. He's going to get split 3 wide, but the push going to come from Garrett Maines in the middle. That's his teammate tonight. They're going to be running well together, but 3 wide as we enter 3. Wyatt Tinsley going to go towards the back here, rolling on the top side. Doesn't have any help, but with this car, it's a lot easier. You see him apex that corner. He goes all the way up to the wall, gets a good turn down off the corner. That way it doesn't get tight towards the wall. You see big wash up on the bottom side. Falkingham drops to the bottom right in front of the 42 car. Garrett Maines leads that middle line. It looks just like the finish from last week. Daniel Falkingham and Garrett Maines, they were 1-2 coming across the line last week.
You called it, Baker. Boy, this is some incredible racing that we're seeing up front right now. How about the 78 machine? Trying to make his way further towards the front now. The 69 is up here as well. A lot of big names continuing to try to make their way to the front, but look at this. Big run on the outside now. I didn't think anybody was going to go with them. But how about the 78 machine? I think that's Wyatt Tinsley trying to make his way to the front. The 69 just below him. Colin Bowden doing the shoving for Garrett Maines, but even with no help, seems like Tinsley's able to make it work somewhat right now.
Yeah, well, the thing is he loses it in the corner, but then everyone washes up on corner exit, and when they wash up on corner exit, he gets that draft right back, so it keeps him in the position that he wants to be on the outside. If he had another car up there, it would help, but the thing is, he was one of those cars who didn't take tires, and he is ripping that 3rd lane right now, and that's got to be killing his right rear, and probably his left rear as well, because this setup is prone to really, really upset these cars.
And he had to put a ton of wheel into it off of 4, again off of 2. Just to keep that car off the outside wall. You said it. I think he is cheese grating those tires right now. So it looks like he's finally going to get a break here and get back in line, at least for the moment, as now we'll see the 24 try to go 3 wide. Keister, though, going to be able to cover that move. Falkingham continues to lead. They're going to be coming up on a lap car here. Looks like he'll stay low. Everybody else is going to go high. And that lap car, I believe, is Matt Lee. Sure enough, it is. He was able to get some of that damage fixed. And he'll single file out here just briefly for the first 4 to 5 cars as they work by on the tri-oval.
Well, the single file out's going to be big jumped out to the outside. Colin Bowden, he takes it. Garrett Maines goes up for the block. Can't get to the outside of the 42. That is Colin Bowden. But we got caution out on the speedway towards the second pack. Looks like you've got Daniel Eberhard around.
Absolutely. Daniel Eberhard here. Not seeing major damage for him, and he's the only car at the moment that we got reported data from to bring out this caution. But I have a feeling there had to be something else. You wouldn't see a driver like D3 just go around all by himself. And so with 21 of 50 laps complete, close to halfway, but not quite there just yet. So we'll rack him up for a restart here, but everybody should be good to go on fuel now. So let's go back and see what brings out your second caution of the night. So Eberhard already around in this view. The big question is what gets him turned around right here? He was riding. Ooh, it's going to actually happen in front of him, it looks like. The 75 machine just ahead here. We'll back this up and show you from a different angle before we zoom things in, but that's Nick Seipel, who, Baker, you called earlier, had a big save early on, and this time here, what happens is they're entering turn 3. Does he just get loose? Let's see. Looks like he does. And, I mean, you can actually see the cars both in front and behind him wiggling around just a little bit as well. Eberhard even gets loose as they get into the corner. I don't know if they go over a little bump right there in 3, but whatever gets that car unsettled. For Seipel here, he's trying to drive out of it, but he makes a slight overcorrection, and once you start to get behind in these cars, it is so hard to play catch-up, and he just chases it down the banking. Looks like he saves it initially, does a heck of a job, but then Eberhard, all that momentum, he's trying to find somewhere to go with it, so he's going to try to go to the inside here, and as he does so, he actually gets into Seipel, and that's what's going to send that 90 car around. Nick Seipel saves it, holds on to continue, and for Eberhard here, it looks like he spins around, and then the car does roll back up on the racetrack. Man, he almost got clipped right there at the end.
Yeah, get lucky. Just trying to walk down, stay out of the inside wall, and get the brakes locked up. But unfortunate there for Everhart. Just a innocent bystander, the circumstance in front of him.
Indeed, and watch just how close this was up the racetrack. Oh my goodness. It might have been, I think that might have been Ken McCullough Jr. here. I'll have to go back and see if we can find out for sure. I believe that's who that was, and if it was, I mean, that is about as close of a call as you can have for one of the money racing veterans, and it is. Watch the onboard view here for Ken McCullough Jr. So he's way behind this, but he can't see it. He's kind of right in that A-pillar until he gets off the floor. Now he sees it. He sees Everhart roll up the track, and at this point, I mean, the brakes aren't going to do you any good, so he just commits to the high side, and it works out. And again, Baker, I think we'll see this later on if we start having a few bigger wrecks, but it's just so hard to get slowed down in these cars. Even in the case of Eberhard here on the bottom as he spins it around, even when he gets on the brakes, the car just keeps sliding and sliding. It's just, these things weigh well over 3,000 pounds. It's just, they're so hard to get wound up once you start getting out of control.
And we got 4 freshies there for mostly everyone in the top 20. Tire wear for about 12 laps there. It gives you to about 89, 88%. If you're only taking that one set of tires, I think Wyatt was looking around 80%, 82% they're reporting them right now in the race session. So it's pretty big tire wear. We're coming to halfway here when we take the drop of the green flag. So it's going to get crazy.
Yeah, it certainly is. The fact that we have still over 25 laps to go, but I think these guys are getting ready to start racing like we're going to be on the last lap. For the 124 machine, Jack Long out in front. One of his first starts in a PGR race. And for Jack right now in the Pontiac, the driver out of Reno, Nevada, has a pretty good run going. And he's going to have a lot of pressure out back. Him and Brian Hennings both choosing to stay out here. And I feel like being on old tires versus a bunch of guys in new tires here is probably one of the scariest things. You're trying to hold them off in the corner, and there's just no way to do it. But got to be careful here because, again, we know who's been the fastest so far tonight, and you don't want to get too aggressive right here trying to get around these guys, get yourself caught up in an incident, and potentially be done for the night. And it will be, it looks like officially, right about 25, 26 laps to go when we grab the green flag. So we'll have to see what happens there. By the way, if you're just tuning in, we appreciate you being here. You are watching the Intimidator Superspeedway Series presented by PGR eSports live on PGR eSports here on YouTube. And man, how about all the support that we got throughout the PGR 500? Baker, I know you and Michael obviously had a chance to commentate the race last week, but this is kind of my first time back, and just watching those races, seeing the community support, how much fun everybody had both racing and watching. Good time to join not just sim racing, but money racing in general, and certainly good to be back for another season of the Intimidator Superspeedway Series.
Yeah, excited, and we've already had 3 winners, 3 different winners for 3 different races in PGR, that being Ethan Eckert, Garrett Maines, and Sean English, who won the anniversary race. Those guys are locked into the 2025 championship, thinking on down the road towards the first week of next year already. Big money on the line and another trophy to go in someone's trophy case. So excited for the year ahead. I know I'll be out the door for a couple months through the summer, but I will be there to support as much as I can, and just excited to see where it takes us this year, and that starts with the SummerSlam 499, which information should be coming out pretty soon.
Indeed, and we know that you're getting deployed, Baker. We certainly appreciate all that you do, both PGR and the country. So we will still be in close contact, and I think you're bringing your sim racing pedals over there. Is that right?
Yeah, I actually had a generous donation from Ambrose. Ambrose gave me his wheel and pedals, so I want to thank him for giving me those. And you know, they got a couple beer stains on them, but it wouldn't be the Ambrose special without that. So excited to hook that up and get my PC out there and try to keep up with the pack. I know we got the ARCA car coming in 3 weeks. I think we may have to throw that into the PGR March Madness schedule. It's going to be a true to life brand new ARCA car that we're going to get, and then halfway through the year, hopefully towards the fall, maybe even sooner, as the pace car is going to pull off, we're going to get the Gen 4 Super Speedway package, and man, if it's true to life, I am excited.
Well, you got me excited now. I didn't even realize we were getting a new ARCA car. All right, back on the racetrack here, getting ready to go back green. It'll be exactly 26 laps to go. here in tonight's action as the green flag now back in the air. Jack Long, Brian Hennings will now hit the throttle and get back through the gears as Jack Long immediately up the racetrack before the start finish line. Trouble. Hennings into the outside wall. Is he going to stack them all up here? Caution is out. Looks like everybody else is going to escape danger, but Brian Hennings, that is not the way he wanted his restart to go. Caution immediately back out, and how bad is the damage now for this 74 car? Well, he's going to tow it, so he's done. Oh, man, that is a horrible break for Brian Hennings. Baker, I have a feeling I might know what happened here. We'll go back and look at it, but in these cars, it's not quite like the other ones where you can speed shift. You have to make sure you've got the clutch fully engaged before you, and let off the throttle before you actually shift. And I wonder for Hennings here, do you think he had an issue with that?
Oh, I mean, I don't know. It sounds like he should. It looks like he flatlines. I mean, it looks like they get to his back bumper as he's going to shift. That is Keister.
Boy, that is close.
Gets under. I mean, it's very close. I think it's just a little bit late on Hennings, and that's what causes the stack up, puts him in the outside wall.
And let's watch it here again. It's such slight contact from the 42 when he first gets locked on. Now he's pushing, and is it going to be right when Hennings goes to hit the shift here that contact comes a little bit more prevalent? So you see Hennings starts to get away here, and then right about start-finish line, see the fire out of the pipes? There's the shifts. And that shift checks him up just a little bit at the same time. Keister gets into the right side of his bumper, and that just immediately sends Hennings pretty much dead right into the outside wall. And then Keister does a tightrope back to not get into anybody else. Bowden's able to dodge, and Hennings does keep it up in the outside wall, but just so unfortunate. I feel like every time we mention Brian Hennings, we talk about how good he's doing, how everything's been going his way. He's due for a win. He's one of the best guys up here, and then bad luck strikes, and fortunately looks like it's going to strike for him again here tonight.
Yeah, unfortunate. And then you had Jack Long up front, changing lanes for the start-finish line. That's a no-no over here in PGRs. Hopefully, race control caught it. It's going to assess him an EOL here on the start. But, yeah, unfortunate for Brian Hennings as well there.
So a double mistake for your front-row drivers as we'll get set up here for our next restart. Well inside 25 laps to go. We're over halfway, but we still got a lot of action to bring to you. Stick with us. We'll be back on PGR eSports.
I played a couple of simulators, and this was like very responsive, especially the hydraulics and stuff, the motion and stuff was really, really on point. But you feel like you're really driving, it feels real.
It adds so much to the experience. It's just really, really cool.
It was pretty awesome.
Have created our own drink company. The fastest growing sports drink in history.
We will run! We will run!
Ladies and gentlemen, we got
The monkey is prime!
this season, we are hydrated.
The official sports drink of the UFC. It's time! Oh, that's good.
Green flag is in the air. We are racing.
3x3.
Almost no trouble. Around goes Alex Hill. On into the outside wall goes Hill. They're wrecking big time out back. We're not going to throw a caution. To the finish. Who gets it at the line? Cody Nagels wins it at Talladega.
Welcome back to Talladega Superspeedway, host of tonight's action in the Intimidator Superspeedway Series. And now that we're back, getting ready for a restart here with inside 25 laps to go. Looks like it'll be 22 exact. Up front leading the way, Daniel Falkingham in that number 39 machine. Garrett Maines to his outside second. Colin Bowden and Chase Stewart back in row 2 with Colin Keister and John Ellis Jr. in row number 3. Well, it's time to start getting your picks in. Who do you have winning this one? I'm telling you, I really like Falkingham's chances so far. But we still got a lot of big names that haven't even decided to make their way up here just yet. We still have plenty of racing to go. You don't have to get too aggressive just yet. But, I mean, at the same time, Baker, I think this is the point where you start worrying about cautions breaking out. And might be a good time to turn up the dial here and try to get to the front. If you already took your last set of tires, you may be out of luck. But everybody had 3, so I would think that everybody may still have one left. We'll have to see what happens here, as it's going to be 22 laps to go.
Yeah, big hitters towards the back. Wyatt Tinsley, Kenneth McCullough, Astronaut, he's blinking out towards the back. But some good drivers. Michael P. Frisch buried in the field. He was up front early. Watch for them to start to make their way towards the front. But Garrett Maines, Daniel Falkingham going to lead him to the green flag here. Colin Bowden on the outside. Green flag back in the air. Big stack up on the bottom. It's going to really accordion back. Oh, 42 all out of control. Still going to stack up towards the back. They make it work, though.
They all hold it together for now. Now they wreck. Trouble out back, and this one's going to get up the racetrack and collect a few of them. Oh! Big hits further back. Mike Davenport looks like may have gotten collected on the back end of it. The 55 machine's in it. Wyatt Tinsley looks like he had to make a move around. And you've got the 25, Christopher Carter, who was off track. And this is what we worried about. And this is what all the drivers in the back worry about. These cautions are going to quickly start to kind of leach all these laps that we have left in the race out. And man, we're going to be down to overtime before you know it. But it all started with the stack up that Baker mentioned right on the restart. And it accordioned out back in a hurry. Let's go back and look at it here all the way from the start and see just how quickly things get out of control. And it's all on this outside line. In fact, it's kind of on both, but the bigger stack up's going to be on the outside. So watch kind of at the front here first. You see Falkingham and Maines far left of your screen. Right as they hit the box, John Ellis Jr. gets a big go. He might have went a little early. That's going to get the 24 stacked up. Now watch the outside as well. Same deal. In fact, Keister, he may have missed a shift right there, Baker, or had some sort of an issue because he gets stacked up. That puts it back to the 41 of Dieterich, Logan York, and it's just going to translate out back quickly. Sean English, Dylan Jones. Now, eventually they split 3 wide here. That's when you thought maybe they'd be okay, and then now next thing you know, it's going to get back here to the 8 car. They're splitting 3-4 wide. That's Osronoff looking around the high side. I mean, you've got cars looking pretty much everywhere at this point, just trying to find a way by. And eventually something had to give here, and it does. Looks like they just kind of squeeze each other out of room right here, Baker. The 31 and the 8 get together. And right as they do, the 78 gets turned. That's Tinsley, I believe, and then it's on from there. And the 8 car back up the racetrack, left nowhere to go for a lot of them. And then Mike Davenport obviously sliding in at the end there. Makes that one our biggest wreck of the night so far.
Yeah, and you know, Keister was the one who got involved with Brian Haynes there on the outside, so you know, it just looks like it came right back around, and unfortunate for Colin Keister.
And we just went on the onboard view right there for Mike Davenport, and pretty much as soon as they started wrecking, he got on the brakes, and even with as far back as he was, getting on the brakes right away, still was nowhere even close to enough to get checked up enough, so that's a tough break for Davenport as well. But watch it again here. The 8 of Peyton Strickland, first car to get turned, and he's going to take some of the biggest hits right here There's the 31 on the inside. David Flanagan, rather shoot in the middle, I should say. And right there may have even been a brief amount of netcode. It was really, really hard to tell. I mean, either way, it didn't matter. I think there was going to be contact at some point. 4 wide here usually doesn't end too well. But sometimes when you run that close, you obviously run the risk of a little bit of netcode as well. And sure enough here, if we look at it from the chopper view, let's see. So there's Flanagan on the inside. Initially, there's some contact. That doesn't cause the wreck. Flanagan gets off of him. And then right here, as Flanagan starts to creep back up, there's a little bit of netcode there. It gets that 8 hooked around, and one Strickland gets turned down to Tinsley, goes back up the track, turns Dieterich. And then everybody just slamming in with nowhere to go. Mark Von Dell involved. And there's that big hit up top, for Mike Davenport. Obviously, I know where to go either.
Well, gonna re-rack them, restack them. We'll take the 1 to go as we come by next time. Hopefully we can get some green flag racing. We've had the green flag racing. It's been great, but now that we're inside that halfway, it's gonna get real spicy. Hopefully everyone can keep it together. We can get some laps under our belt here.
Absolutely. By the way, Trevor Osronoff, this looks like maybe having some blinking issues there. I've been catching that on the last couple restarts and the last couple runs that we've seen him on. We'll see if he can get that straightened up here in time for the end. But ironically, Scott Kazin in the chat says ARCA brakes. And, I think I would say that in just about any other series, maybe except this one. In fact, I don't know if I could imagine what ARCA brakes would look like in this series. I mean, you get on the brakes late, you are going to absolutely clobber a guy. It's just really tough to get them slowed up. These things drive like boats. But an unfortunate incident for all parties involved in that one. Back up front, though, Falkingham and Main's going to start on the front row yet again. And then just behind him, Chase Stewart. Haven't mentioned his name too much here tonight, or at least haven't had the chance to really pause on him, but Stewart with a great run going right now. He's up 2 spots from where he qualified, which was inside the top 5, and he's going to be looking for his first win in PGR eSports Intimidator Superspeedway Series. Colin Bowden back and forth, and there's Colin Keister back in the 5th spot, who, by the way, I want to go to this restart just one more time for you and watch it from his onboard view. Let's see, does he miss a shift or maybe even have a similar issue to what Hennings had earlier? Let's take a listen. Yeah, it's brief. Baker, you kind of have an option in these cars to start in first gear, which is really late in the RPM range, or start second gear, which is really early. So a lot of drivers like to start in first, and it seems like that's what Keister does. And when you do that, you hit that rev limiter so quick, you got to be ready for it. And he just flatlines. It's not long, but it's enough to where it gets him in trouble out back.
So we are coming to take 18 to go when the green flag flies. It's getting down to the nitty-gritty. You've got Bowden pushing Garrett. They are not friends on the track whatsoever. We've seen intent wrecks from both of them in different series. We've seen it in PGR it happening, but Colin Bowden making his return. I've got the entry list actually for the March Madness bracket right here in front of me. We got Cody Nagels. He is the #1 seed for 2025. Kyler Wynn, Matt Patton, John Ward, Logan York, J.R. Miller, Bowden, like I mentioned, Falkingham, Davenport, Jeff Merck, Chris Blanchard, Chris McCullough, Matt Lee, Landon Velicky, Michael Triscaro are your top 15. Opened it up for everyone else. Garrett Baines paid. Howard Strother, Axel Smith, Brian Hennings, Michael Wingo, Nick Sipple, Quentin Steinbach, James Wagner, Chris Melton, Brock Westmoreland, Freddie Bassines, Asher Little, Jacob Emery, Eberhart, and Vickery are going to be your 32 seated drivers. We will have the bracket posted once we do our little seating. We'll have like a seating meeting, I think, on Wednesday, and determine our drivers. That way we can have everything ready for that first week of racing.
Looking forward to it. By the way, Devin Ray in the chat says, Baker Austin, who do you got as your picks? Well, Baker, I think for me, I'm going to go with John Ellis Jr. I like where he runs right now, and I know he's good in these cars. What do you got?
It's pace cars in or come to the restart zone. I'm probably going to take, I got Keister or Kyler winning this race. Falkingham's going to be great as the green flag's going to fly.
All right, green flag back in the air. Officially just 18 laps remaining here at Talladega tonight. Looks like this time everybody got through the gears a little bit better. And we'll keep things clean as we work down in towards turn #1, further back. Already one car looking 3 wide. Now we're going to get another one to jump out. That's the 21 as they're wrecking out back. Caution is out. And again, struggling to make it off the turn #2. And this one's going to collect a few of the same and a few new ones. The 88's involved. That's Tanner Kasinger, excuse me. And then the 40 machine, Tyler Vickery. involved yet again, man. He cannot seem to catch a break. And it has not been his night. And we'll have to go back and see what caused this one. I can tell you here, just from looking at the driver cams right now off to the side, I don't have them popped up, but boy, Vickery is not happy at all. So this must have been something that was avoidable, is going to at least be my first guess, but let's go back and look at it here. So got to back this one kind of way up to figure out where it first starts, and it's going to start right up here around the 88 of Kasinger. And so here we go.
Another missed shift. That's Stephen Miles.
Stephen Miles, is he in the 7 machine? Looks like he may be. And we'll see if we can get up to where Stephen was in that 7 machine. But, you know, that's been the story here a couple times tonight, Baker. Again, a car that we don't normally run, so it's easy to make the mistake, but you got to be ready for it because you know how it works in these cars. And for Miles here, let's see just how bad of a misshift it was, because he had some room. As we watch right here, well, he flatlined for a long time, Baker. And the other thing that I meant to mention earlier is we talk about how you have to kind of fully engage the clutch in these cars, but that also means that you have to kind of be fully off the gas. And so if you rev it up and then try to shift out of it, you almost have to wait a second for the RPMs to drop a little bit. It's just really weird. Again, old style cars, old style clutch, but it's the way you got to do it. And I think there for Steven, once he realized that he missed it, just didn't really give it a chance to back off the RPMs enough to make that shift happen. And even though he had some room to work with, it doesn't take long when all of a sudden your speed stops climbing. I was ready to catch up, and it was on from there.
Yeah, unfortunate for sure.
Kasinger, too. I mean, look at some of these hits here. Kasinger is going to be the first car that actually gets turned up into the wall. And, man, Vickery was probably about a foot away from escaping that one and just gets tagged in the right rear. There's just absolutely nothing that Tyler Vickery can do. Just can't seem to catch a break tonight. Brock Westerlund, by the way, saw him sneak by initially. They will have to see if he was able to sneak by the rest of it. Oh, Kasinger got just clobbered by Davenport again. Davenport has had bad luck with arriving on incidents late here tonight, and there's Vickery who goes around, and look at as they all try to sneak by. The 124, oh my goodness. I don't know how Jack Long missed that initially. We'll have to see if he missed the rest of it. I believe he did. And then obviously you see a couple of the others getting involved. The 05 Joshua McCullough from McCullough Motorsports left with nowhere to go. Looks like D3 Daniel Eberhardt is going to go for a slide in this one as well. I think he actually is going to spin it out all the way here. Does he actually save it? No, he does spin it out, but not going to get any damage, so I think he'll be okay with that one. Big
rip towards the back. Like you said, just unfortunate for the people trying to make their way up through the field that got involved in those early wrecks. They haven't had any green flag racing, so it's just not enough time to get back up front. You're coming to 15 laps to go, take the green flag with 14 to go this time.
Boy, Jack Long did such a heck of a job making it through that. We just watched his onboard view. I mean, that's about as close as it gets. And it's even harder to dodge wrecks in these cars versus some of the other series we see. But again, a tough break for Tyler Vickery. The damage that he sustained through this wreck, along with multiple others, including Mike Davenport. And so as you said, Baker, now with a restart that's going to be probably just about 14 laps to go, it's going to be tough for anybody to get into a rhythm. I think with the way it's going, you got to basically assume that we're probably going to see a lot of these short sprints to the finish. And honestly, with that being the case, I think if I'm anywhere in the top half of this field, I don't know if I'm going in to take tires, even if I feel like there's an advantage at this point. I think track position's too crucial.
Yeah, true. Track position's way too crucial. All the tires are pretty cooled down, and just I think it's going to be the front 6, front 7 battling out, probably front 8 with Kyler Wynn. That top 8's going to be hard to get by, and they're going to be throwing haymakers left and right towards each other. And you'll see Frisch try and make his way up through the field. Wyatt Tinsley got involved in that wreck when he started towards the back, so unfortunate for sure.
And as we get the 1 to go signal from the pace car, take you over to what the payouts are looking like here tonight. First place going to be going home with $300. This was based off 45 entries, and as it's been here pretty consistently, it was another sellout week. So 300 to first, 230 to second, 200 to third, 150 to fourth, 130 to fifth. And then the relatively still new setup that, of course, was started last year, which I think a lot of drivers have certainly appreciated. Highest finisher without a PGR win outside the money going to receive $55 as well. It was a $26 entry, so if you finish top 5, making quite a bit of your money back. Nonetheless, though, if you're interested in joining the Intimidator Superspeedway Series or any of the events that PGR eSports puts on, make sure that you do check out the Discord. We have the link in the description to this live stream, and if you need it, let me know. I'd be more than happy to put it in the chat for everybody. And again, if you're just tuning in, we appreciate you hanging out. And if you've been hanging around, we appreciate you sticking with us. 15, going to be 14 laps to go. We're getting down to it here. Pay window's going to be opening pretty soon. And I still think that you could argue Falkingham and Maines might be the two favorites. But I agree, Baker. I think everybody in this top 7, top 8 is going to have a shot at it here at some point. But who knows, maybe even further back all the way to Grimace, a.k.a. Logan York, and a few others. They can get up here. But, man, Trevor Osronoff, seems like his car has just been blinking all over the place here tonight. Not sure what's going on for Trevor, but that's a tough break. But I hope that he can get that sorted out here before the end, as that's going to make him tough to race around if he gets towards the front.
Yeah, it's weird though. Once we go green, no blinking issues. It's unfortunate. Hopefully we can get through the gears here. No missing shifts this time. Pace car is going to pull down Garrett. Main's going to be pushing Falkingham on the bottom. And then you got Chase Stewart doing a great job of getting pushed by Colin Bowden here, and the 24 of James Connolly on the outside, and the 42 Colin Keister was one of those that missed the shift. The green flag back out in the air. Everyone's starting to roll through the gears here 2 by 2 as they get to the start finish line. A little bit of fanning out towards the back, trying to get out of the way of drivers, but no missed shifts as I'm seeing it right now. They're up into 4th gear, and we're going to get rolling here out of 1 and 2. Falkingham's leading the bottom side. Great push by Garrett Maines. Garrett is clear just for a second, but he's going to stay committed. Colin Bowden, big shot to the back bumper there for Chase Stewart. Now you're going to be 2 by 2 entering turn 3.
Whoa, that's not going to work, or is it? It does somehow. The 41 of Caden Dieterich on the bottom. Boy, he pushed John Ellis Jr. up the racetrack. They are still trying to sort it out further back. It looks like they do. 3 wide now as they'll start to tuck back in line slowly but surely. Nathan Harper on the 46. Going to lose the spot from all of that chaos. Wyatt Gray, he'll fall back a few as well. As John Ellis Jr. now quickly hops back up to that 3rd lane, and 13 laps to go, Baker. It's time for the gloves to come off. These guys are getting ready to start going for it, but it seems like the bottom right now, a little bit more organized. If you were a driver, which lane would you want to be in right now?
You know, the bottom's a great place to be. The thing is you see the people shooting towards that bottom side to get under and take it bottom 3. You'll be stuck middle 3. Kyler Wynn, one of the best doing it. Caden Dietrich did just that last time by. Was able to shuffle 1 car back. Trevor Osronoff still blinking in that high line. He's going to go all the way to the top. Oh, Kyler Wynn trying to look for it. I'm telling you, he's looking for that move every time. Garrett Maines covers off Keister there. Kyler Wynn looking to the inside, but the 24 gets to his inside. We're 4 wide offset just for a bit. Back to 3 wide racing.
And I think Keister may have threw 1 too many blocks, and Kyler cut him a massive break right there. He could have very well turned the 42, but he decided to do better and just let him go that time. I don't think he'll cut him that break on the last lap. Now we got 1 in the wall further back. He's going to save it. No, down into traffic, into Eberhardt. This may draw the caution, and it will. Trouble. Who all is going to get involved is, oh man, big hit. Stephen Miles up in the air. Looked like Ryan Priest at the end of the 500. He'll eventually land back on all 4 as the 89 of Trevor Osronoff is involved. Jack Long as well. Oh my goodness. That was a massive wreck. Collected all sorts of drivers. We'll have to go back and look at it here. And another caution. This will put us in a restart inside 10 laps to go. There's the damage for Jack Long. And it may have started, I think this either starts with Wyatt Gray or Matt Lee. It was one of the 28 cars. In fact, let's see, was it Wyatt Gray? No, I think it may have been Matt Lee. I couldn't tell. I thought Matt Lee was off track. That's where my confusion comes in, but I think it was Matt Lee.
Matt Lee.
All right.
Matt Lee, he drives it up into the wall, comes off the wall, back down into the field, tries to keep it up there, and then once he gets unhooked, it just, oh man, it just right down into Daniel Eberhardt, stacks them all up. It puts Trevor Osronoff down into the wall. He blinks out, and when he blinks out, you can't see him. And when you can't see him, That's where Stephen Miles is going to come into the frame, and then boom, I mean, just blinks right in front of him, and nowhere for Stephen Miles to go. 121 of Jack Long, nowhere to go as well.
Yeah, we just saw it there from the aerial shot. I see exactly what you're talking about right there for a few of these cars that had nowhere to go as Trevor Osmernoth was blinking, and such a bad feeling as a driver too, because you know you think you're through it, and then all of a sudden a car appears right in front of you and there's nowhere to go. But see some smoke in the back here, and they get on the brakes almost immediately, and yet again just so hard to slow these cars down as nowhere to go for long. He tags the 28, but for Stephen Miles, watch this hit he takes. Boy, I said this looks familiar. I know I made the reference to Ryan Preece, and I'll tell you why. Rather, I'll show you why. Right here's just going down the back. You see nothing. Looks okay. In fact, watch it from his onboard view. Everything looks okay. Sees Trevor Osmernoth blinking. Now he's gone. Okay. Looks like he's going to be all right. And then right there, blinks back in and see if it's going to try to turn the wheel, but there's just nothing you could do at that point. And look at that. Up into the air, wheelie style. For Stephen Miles, eventually going to bounce back on all four. And he actually continues driving on. I almost wonder if that car is somehow able to continue, even with as big of a hit as he took, but
looks like he blew his motor, and he's disconnected from the session. Matthew Lee out, Jack Long out, Stephen Miles out.
A lot of big names. And we had some clean racing early. It's just kind of what you expect, I guess, towards the end, especially in these cars. That was a big hit for Matt Lee. Stephen Miles, Trevor Osmernoth, and the 124 Jack Long, all cars taken out in this wreck. And even as kind of that next group arrives, they almost get into each other right there. That's Vickery, looks like Kasinger, and I think Mark Vondell as well. So it's Jack Long, looks like the only car that was able to actually limp away from the scene. We turn our attention back up front now, where it is 10 laps to go and lights are still on, so it looks like it's going to be about 8 laps to go. Daniel Falkingham continues to lead, Chase Stewart second, Garrett Maines third, with Matthew Stallneck fourth and Colin Bowden rounding out your top 5. Well, we're getting into single digits for laps remaining here at Talladega tonight. Your top 3, Falkingham, Stewart, and Maines. We'll be right back. Stick with us for the finish here at Talladega.
I played a couple of simulators, and this was like very responsive. Especially the hydraulics and stuff, the motion and stuff was really, really on point.
Make you feel like you're really driving. It feels real.
It adds so much to the experience. It's just really, really cool.
It was pretty awesome.
Have created our own drink company. The fastest growing sports drink in history.
We will run! We will run!
Ladies and gentlemen, we got
The monkey has prime!
this season, we are hydrated. The official sports drink of the UFC. It's time! Oh, that's good.
Welcome back to Talladega Superspeedway. Getting ready for what could potentially be our final restart, although the way the trend's been going, I would have to think otherwise, though. Nonetheless, Daniel Falkingham and Chase Stewart now on the front row, getting ready to go at it here. There will be 8 more laps. As the pace car is going to dive off. We'll work into the tri-oval and 2x2 the formation, but the real question is going to be who jumps up to that third lane first. Watch for the pink, magenta, whatever color it is. 0-2 machine at Logan York. Scott further back. Green flag, though. Back in the air. 8 laps to go at Talladega. With $300 on the line to the winner. The 39 of Falkingham gets the better jump. And can't everybody get through the gears clean this time? They did last restart, and it looks like they will this restart. Further back, already 3 wide. Looks like that may have been Ken McCullough Jr. trying to get that top lane rolling. And he is going to get some help. The 25 of Chris Carter going to go with him. So does the 15. Is that Joe Sullivan? They're going to continue to try to go all the way to the front. Meanwhile, at the front, they stay 2 by 2. Falkingham leads the bottom, but it's Chase Stewart who's going to lead the field into turn 3.
Hey, Chase Stewart doing a great job. Falkingham going to send it off into 3. He will get clear to the top side. Oh! Start direct towards the front. He saves it. Unbelievable save on the top side. That is the 24 car. I mean, what a save to hang on to it. No one else gets into him. The front 6, though, starting to pull away a little bit. 3 by 3. 3 pushing on the bottom. Oh, split to the middle lane. That is Colin Bowden. Look for it. He's not going to get it, though. Kyler Wynn ducks it off. The 41 going to give a big push to Chase Stewart, but Garrett Maines, Falkingham leading strong on the bottom.
That was James Conley with an absolutely heck of a save. As now trouble out back. Jones trying to save it. That 210's coming in clutch right now. He is going to hold on to it. Further back, Ken McCullough Jr. got into the wall. He will also save it. We have had about 3 incidents that could have been cautions just over the last lap, and somehow everyone's hung on. 3 wide, though, at the front. Dieterich getting pushed by the 42 of Colin Keister. That's not going to work. Looks like the 40 of Stewart's going to jump back in line. Blocking up front. Falkingham tried to cover Maines. No luck. Garrett Maines going to go out in front now as they cross the line. 6 laps remaining at Talladega, and they're still 2 by 2 up front for the lead.
Oh, man, this is intense racing. Bowden pushing Maines through the tri-oval there. Garrett Maines hanging on for all he's worth. He's got the onboard camera on his Twitch stream. Go over, check it out. Garrett Maines won. He's doing a great job at 3 wide towards the back. Logan York thought about blocking the middle. Couldn't get up in time. Kyler Wynn making a recovery. He drifted all the way back, but now he's making his way back towards the front. Dives to the bottom side, 4th in line there on the bottom. Jones into the outside wall there in 3 and 4. He'll gather it back up. Oh!
He's going to go into the outside wall.
Oh, man. There it is.
Big hit for Colin Keister and Caden Dieterich. Caution is back out. Are they going to be the only 2 involved? It appears so, as whoa, watch out. Keister coming down. Looks like they're all going to miss him here, and now that leaves just the 41 of Dieterich. You almost could see it coming. It looked like Dieterich, I don't know if that's what happened there, but had been doing some blocking the last couple laps, and I was getting ready to note it and say that he was probably going to get turned before this race was all said and done, and fortunately, it looks like it may have happened right there. Man, oh man. Well, now, Baker, we're going to head into overtime, and that might be the best because with the way these guys are going at it, I mean, there's no way you can sustain that insanely aggressive of racing for more than a couple laps. Something was going to have to give, and it finally did. So watch this again here. Coming off of 4, it's going to start with Caden Dieterich. Well, actually, is it Caden Dieterich, or am I looking at a different car? I'm looking at a different 41. I'll tell you what.
There's a couple 41s in this field.
And I thought that was Dieterich this whole time. I apologize. That's a different 41. In fact, I'm not exactly sure who that is. I think I've been commentating that as Dieterich all night. And we get mixed up once in a while up here in the booth, so I apologize about that. But we're going to see if we can figure out exactly who this was. We'll go all the way up here to Colin Keister and then see if we can back this up the manual way to figure out exactly who's in that 41 machine. So there's Keister. We know that much is for sure. That's once he's in the wall. All right, so it looks like that's going to be Matthew Stallneck. Okay, so again, I apologize for getting that incorrect, but that's Matthew Stallneck in the other 41 machine, kind of inverse colors to what Dieterich was running. And so this is the car that I had is kind of blocking a little bit here the last couple laps, but I don't think this one was a block. I think what's going to happen here is as he gets into turn 3, watch out now as he's going to wash up a little bit as these cars tend to do. But late in the race, Baker, you've got to stay down because if not, you've got guys like Keister who, if you leave them a gap, they're going to take it, and it looks like it was close. There may have been a gap there. I think there arguably was a gap there, but it's going to be more so a question of as Keister goes to go for that, does his car wash up a little bit? Let's see.
Yeah, the call firm race control is that the 42 washes up into the 41, very close. 42's trying to turn back down the track, but just it's not in time.
Yeah, I would agree with that. And then as Stallneck starts to get out of control, he's trying to save it, but just nowhere to go. He's going to get back down into the 42, and That's going to shoot him right back up the track into the outside wall. Look at this hit right here. That's a massive hit, but you want to see an even bigger hit. Look at the 42. Oh, my goodness. Colin Keister destroying the right front of his race car. Logan York had an absolutely ridiculous save. As you see the 78, I believe that's Wyatt Tinsley. Gets into the outside wall as well, just briefly. The 21 of John Ellis Jr. Oh, man. Thought that John
Unfortunate
had a shot.
for him, yeah.
Yeah, getting caught up right there at the end of it. Not the biggest hit, but certainly enough that's going to end his chances for the night as he eventually slides to a halt. Certainly still, I think, getting the worst of this one, though, was Colin Keister with the big hit that he took here. Watch it again. Full speed. Bam. Up into the air, and then that's just a ridiculous save from Logan York. I don't know how he held on to that car. But another late caution now, and as I mentioned, we are going to be headed to overtime. 2-lap shootout. You think you've seen chaos so far. We're going to end with a whole lot more here to decide who's going to win the $300 here tonight. That split right there, too. A couple cars that had to dodge it further back, making the best of it. That was a really, really close call. I was trying to see if we had any sort of a pit lane view from this. A little bit of a view right there before they kind of duck in behind the haulers, and you can't really see it anymore. So we'll go back live now, turn our attention up front, as the lights on the pace car, I would assume, are going to go off this time. We'll have to wait and see, though, and it's the one of Garrett Maines being scored as your leader. Daniel Falkingham second. Colin Bowden third. Michael Fritsch in fourth, with Kyler Wynn in fifth. Wyatt Tinsley sixth. Then you've got Sean English seventh. Logan York eighth. Joe Sullivan in ninth. And Nathan Harper currently rounding out your top 10. So lights do indeed go off. Garrett Maines will line up on the inside. And 2 laps to go here. I almost think that inside may end up being the safest bet here, Baker. I know the outside's got momentum, but what do you think right here?
I really think Garrett and Falkingham are going to work together here, not try and get out of line. But the thing is, you're going to have Falkingham and Tinsley lined up together on the top side. And then you got, Michael P. Frisch and Wyatt Tinsley lined up on the outside. They're going to be looking to go. Logan York also going to be looking to go as well. Harper right behind him as well. I know those two will be looking 3 wide. So you got a pair of people trying to work together to get to the front. But you know Frisch is going to work well with Falkingham here. They race together quite a lot. But Bowden, he's not gonna take too kindly to be pushing just on the bottom. You may want to push and try and get a good position for the money position. But if there's a hole to go for the win, he's going to be looking to the inside of Garrett Maines, and he's going to have to be protecting that bottom. And I really think it's going to favor the outside. If Garrett Maines is wrapping it off the bottom, he's going to kill a lot of speed trying to block.
I would certainly agree, and yeah, you said it with Bowden making a move if there's a gap there. You mentioned earlier a little bit of bad blood between these two, so certainly no reason that they're just going to sit in line and push each other to the finish, unless, of course, that's the only option. And so we'll see what Garrett can do. By the way, I know a lot of drivers, I shouldn't say a lot because everybody has their own opinion. Some drivers may not necessarily love this car and the way it races, especially with all the chaos. But Baker, I mean, it's been a ton of fun just to sit up here and watch these guys in these cars. I think if we could have a couple of longer runs, it'd be maybe some of the best racing that we have seen in any series. We're getting ready to see 2 more laps of it here to decide it. Here we go. Pace car going to make that left turn down to the pits now, potentially, for the final time here tonight. Couple of underdogs still in the mix here. You never know what can happen on these last 2 laps. Back into the Geico restart zone. We're going to go. And the green flag back in the air. 2-lap shootout to decide it here at Talladega. Who is going to bring home the win tonight? Good restart for Falkingham on the outside. He's actually going to beat Garrett Maines to the line. And he'll also beat him off towards turn number 1. The 58 machine, Michael Fritsch, trying to line up to do some pushing. Now the inside's going to stack up. 3-car deep tandem. I said you couldn't push in the corner. They are proving me wrong. They're going to drag race onto the backstretch, but Garrett Maines, with all the momentum, he'll take the lead.
I cannot believe the push that's happening on the bottom side. If they just give him a little bit out of sorts, it's going to get Garrett Maines out of the groove. He's going to hold the bottom, though, with Bowden still pushing strong here on the bottom side. Garrett Maines hanging on for all she's worth. It's going to really stack up this bottom line. Garrett Maines back up to the top, going to block Falkingham. Back down to the bottom. Colin Bowden splitting the middle 3 wide. Kyler Wynn with the push through the middle. We're going to get to the white flag. White flag in the air. Falkingham leads at the line there. Bowden drops down to the bottom. Falkingham to the middle. It's a barn burner through 1 and 2.
Where did Colin Bowden come from? Garrett Maines never saw that move coming. He's going to go to the lead off of turn 2. Falkingham still on the outside, 3 wide out back.
Frisch into the outside wall, but the bottom, big push from Garrett Maines gives a shove to Colin Bowden all the way through the corner here. You're going to see him still kind of chill out, really back up that run. Garrett Maines, he's clear to the top. Watch for Bowden to block. He will not, doesn't have the time to. They're rolling on the outside. Falkingham, nowhere to go, though. He's going to push. Oh, my goodness, Colin Bowden. Here comes Kyler Wynn, 4 wide through the trial. Sean English on the bottom side. Where did he come from? Colin Bowden gets turned. Sean English going to win.
Sean English drifting through the tri-oval, wins his first, make it second rather, race in PGR. Oh my goodness, Sean English out of nowhere on the last lap's going to take that Rust-eze 95 machine to victory lane. He won once in the trucks, and now he's going to get a win in the 87s. Garrett Maines is going to go give him a little friendly good race tap. But man, what a finish that was. First of all, the move from Bowden coming to the last lap, and then of course Sean English right there somehow able to hold on through the trial. Well, that was absolute chaos. Before we even let him come around and do a burnout, we got to go back and look at this finish. I mean, this was absolutely incredible stuff. So as they come off of turn 4, it's going to go from 2 wide to 4 wide in a matter of just seconds. Again, watch this from the blimp cam. So here we go. Bowden's going to try to block up top. Garrett splits. Bowden can't cover back to the bottom in time, so he stays in the middle, but that's going to cause a bit of a stack up. Falkingham tries to square up Bowden the best he can, but it's still going to get Bowden a little bit light. The bottom's lined up a little bit better. Sean English going to get pushed clear, and now they are 4 wide. Bowden, a little bit of net code from the bottom lane, gets him turned around, and at that point, now that English is clear of the Scrabble, he's good to go. But look at the finish back for, what is that, 5th and 6th? I mean, they're 5, 6 wide, side by side. It's just pure chaos. But for Sean English, he sees the light first and is able to go to victory lane here tonight.
I mean, unbelievable there. Just looks like not really there on the trial move. It just looks like 15's up the track just a little bit. Colin Bowden comes down the side draft. Just looks like racing to me, and doesn't look like it really affected the top 4 for the payout spots. And just an unbelievable finish. Sean English pulling the Ross Chastain and just holding the bottom, hoping for the best. Everyone else blocking all over the place, and a great move by him, and gets that number 95 Lightning McQueen Rust-eze in victory lane.
Absolutely. Tyler Gary in the chat says, Mooncar light driver Sean English. Well, they might need to promote him to full-time Mooncar after the performance he just put on right there. But nonetheless, official results are in. He is your race winner tonight. Garrett Maines second with Joe Sullivan third. Colin Bowden finishes in 4th here tonight. It's going to be Caden Dieterich 5th. Jackson Byes back in 6th with Daniel Falkingham in 7th. Kyler Wynn in 8th. Wyatt Tinsley 9th. And Logan York rounding out your top 10.
In 11th, you got David Flanagan, Michael P. Frisch. He got in the outside wall out of 2. Dylan Jones in 13th. Nick Sipple 14th. James Connolly in 15th. Jeff Byers 16th. Chase Stewart 17th. John Ellis Jr. in 18th. Had a great run going towards the end there and just got shuffled out. Brock Westmoreland 19th. Daniel Eberhardt rounding out your top 20.
Joshua McCullough from McCullough Motorsports finishes 21st. Sean Corbett 22nd. Tanner Casinger, good recovery after getting some damage, finishes 23rd. Tyler Vickery, same for him. 24th. Mark Vondell back in 25th with Nathan Harper 26th. You've got Wyatt Gray back in 27th with Ken McCullough Jr. in 28th. Christopher Carter 29th, and Mike Davenport rounds out your top 30.
Matthew Stallneck at 31st got involved in that incident with Colin Keister, who's in 32nd. Jack Long, 33rd, was out front early, had that restart violation, shuffled into the back, never could recover. Ryan Hennings in 34th. Matthew Lee, saw a huge hit from him in 35th. Trevor Osronoff, 36th. Stephen Miles with the Ryan Priest flip. We had a lot of flips in this race. That was one of them. Peyton Strickland in 38th. 39th, Tucker McClendon. James Seawright, 40th. J.R. Miller. Christopher McCullough and Jeff Merck are going to round out your 43 car field that we took here tonight. John Moore did not make the grid, and I was not racing.
And with that, we are going to go grab your top 3 for interviews. Stick with us. We'll be right back at Talladega. All right, welcome back to Talladega Superspeedway. We're going to start first here tonight with your race winner, now two-time PGR eSports winner, and that is Sean English. Sean, this is Austin up in the booth. You got a copy?
Yes, sir, I do.
Well, different series, but same side of money racing. You get the job done here tonight in the 87s in the Intimidator Superspeedway Series. First of all, tell us about what was going through your head there as you came off of turn 4. You saw Bowden go high. Looks like the seas are going to part, and they do. They hold off, and you hold everybody off. How'd you feel getting your second win?
Yeah, I mean, it felt great. Really, sitting in 7th on that restart, I kind of just planned on sticking on the bottom lane, trying to get a decent top 5 finish, make a little bit of money back. But I had Joseph Sullivan, he was locked to my rear bumper. He was able to push me off turn 4. And whenever Bowden opened the wheel up, I knew that was my chance to get the suck and try to clear them all.
And it works out. But, man, this car, ton of fun to watch. I know drivers have mixed opinions on it. We heard that you get to race these quite a bit over in Moon Car. How much practice does it take to really get comfortable in this kind of a race car?
Oh, yeah, these things are a blast. I run Moon Car quite a bit. Shout out to all those guys. I enjoy running both series. They're both a lot of fun. It definitely, some of the skill transfers, I know a lot of the guys from over there came in and ran pretty decent, but it was definitely a mix of both good guys. It's a difficult car to handle, and I think that kind of showed tonight.
It certainly did, and you prevail at the end. Well, now that you've got 2 wins under your belt, starting to put your name down as one of the heavy hitters over here on the PGR side of things. So before we let you head out here tonight, is there anyone you want to thank or shout out?
Yes, sir. I got to thank y'all, everybody at PGR eSports for putting these on. Wouldn't be possible to have these opportunities to do money races without y'all. It's really cool what y'all do. Got to thank everybody at Mooncar for giving me the practice in these races. Got to thank Joseph Sullivan for giving me the push there at the end. Chase Stewart, he was working with me a lot that race. He was giving me some help. Peyton Strickland, giving me some good calls what to do on pit strategy. Couldn't do it without any of them, so thank you.
And Sean, thank you for talking to us again. Congrats on the race win, second one, and we'll see if you get some more here pretty soon. Looking like it with how good you were here tonight. We will see you hopefully next week.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
All right, and now that's going to go ahead and bring us up to your second place finisher here tonight, and that's Garrett Maines. He stands by with Matthew Baker.
Hey, Garrett, it's Austin. Matt up in the booth. You got a copy?
Yes, sir.
Well, talk to me through that restart. It all started to fall apart when it came out at 3. Coming to the white flag, Colin Bowden with an unbelievable move through the middle. Talk to me through your recovery to get back in line with Falkingham and how it ultimately fell apart out of 4. I really thought you guys were going to take it top of 3 wide as soon as Colin came up.
Yeah, I'll be honest, so did I. I don't know. I mean, I don't run the 87 cars, so I didn't really have the experience, I guess, as to how these usually unfold. You know, it was a great move by Colin to hang me out coming off of turn 4. I mean, I didn't really know where to go. There was nothing I could do. I just kind of had to hold where I was and hope somebody came to me. And, you know, obviously that did happen, and, you know, I was able to cycle back into like 3rd or 4th place there. Put herself back in position down the backstretch, and I thought I was in position to win the race coming off turn 4. Just, you know, I don't know if it was the wrong move or if it was just slightly too early or if like Dan just didn't see the potential for him at the end of the day. But, you know, I was really hoping he'd go with me there. I thought that was going to be a, you know, a race-winning move, but unfortunately just no help until it was too late. And then once they all wrecked, you know, we were in the right place, right time to pull off 2nd place, but I almost pulled it off 2 weeks in a row. That would have been really cool. I haven't run the 87s in PGR before, so I was hoping to, you know, make my debut in it and get a win. But I mean, overall, I can't be mad with 2nd. You know, we were up in the fight the whole night. Overall, it was a blast. So.
Yeah, it seemed like a lot of fun. The handling up front when you were in clean air definitely changed once you started to get someone in front of you. Just talk to me through how you were able to hang on to the race car the whole time. It looked like it was a handful to drive the entire night.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, once the intensity picked up, it went from being like, you know, you're kind of driving on the knife's edge to you are driving through all the poor handling conditions. You know, you get tight on entry, and you got somebody on your quarter panel, you know, making you tight. Then the person behind you gets to your bumper, takes all the air off of it. Meanwhile, you're just like driving through this. You got the wheel in it, you got the throttle down, and you're just basically hanging on for dear life. It was a lot of fun, especially coming through the tri-oval. Whenever you get down on the flat, like, we don't recognize that in any of the other NASCAR cars, but you go down on the bottom lane of the tri-oval, and it feels like it's completely flat. The banking definitely goes away, and we're going so fast through there that that's why you see the top line roll, because they literally have more banking, and you have to lift down there, at least crack throttle. So it was making for a really interesting race. It was a good experience. I mean, I had a blast with it. I was this close, but it would have been cool to get another win for Wigan Water Technologies. It was cool to get them on the 87 right before this race and get some laps in right before we get started. So yeah, just one spot short, obviously.
Yeah, one spot short, but now we shift the focus to March Madness. You are in the bracket. We're going to seed it next week. Going to be a ton of fun. Gen 6, Gen 7, Talladega, Daytona, Atlanta. Can't wait to see you there. Probably going to be talking to you next week since you're one of the best in those cars. Who'd you like to thank or shout out?
Yeah, I got to give a huge shout out and thank you to Wigan Water Technologies for their support this season. It'd be really cool to start off the season right in March Madness and get a win. But yeah, we'll knock on wood there. We don't want to jinx that just yet, but hopefully we'll get a good start to the season in round one. And also got to give a big thank you to Scott at MCU Body, Lennox, and it was fun racing with Dan there. So shout out to him for the help.
Well, thanks for talking to us, Garrett. Hope to talk to you next week.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
All right, now that's going to bring us up to your final podium finisher here tonight. And that's Joe Sullivan. Joe, this is Austin up in the booth. You got a copy?
Yeah, I got you.
Well, you bring home your first podium finish in PGR here tonight in the 87s. And, man, on that last lap, you give Sean English the winning push. What was going through your mind?
And we were just trapped out there on the bottom, and I knew our only chance to even get a good finish there was to push him. And, I've raced with him a little bit here in the last couple of weeks, and I just was like, man, I'm going to give him a good old shove here coming to the line, and whatever happens, happens. I hate we got into Colin there, and he got turned around, and then kind of all heck broke loose. But it was a pretty exciting finish there.
Yeah, it certainly was. And these 87s cars, they were a ton of fun to watch. Obviously, drivers had a bit of handling issues with them, but nonetheless, to grab your first podium finish in PGR in this cars, how does it give you some momentum going forward? And you feel like you have some confidence to go out and maybe grab a win here in the next few weeks?
Yeah, man. I've only done a couple of PGR events, and I'm way more comfortable in the 87s. It's kind of more my thing, and if we do some more of these, then I'll definitely be back and doing some more. I'm not too good in the other cars, but I just love the way these things drive, and obviously that showed here a little bit tonight. But what a field, though. I mean, this was stacked field. So to come away P3 was quite an accomplishment for me. So it's pretty awesome. I love these cars. Absolutely. I don't know what to say. I'm just kind of beside myself right now.
Yeah, well, I was going to say, I mean, absolutely a stacked field, and you come out on top of the stack. So before we let you head out to celebrate the winnings, is there anyone you want to thank or shout out here tonight?
Yeah, I should give a shout out to my wife and kids. Shout out to Max Auction, my father-in-law's auction business. Core Racing League, it's my home league. Jeff Byers, he was in the race here tonight, and I literally just found out about it like an hour before it started. So shout out to him for getting me in here and getting going. And then my sister, Jack Pike, Alan Elwood Designs for the paint scheme on the card here tonight, and PGR for putting these things on, man. It's well run, obviously. I mean, this thing, they speak for themselves anymore. I mean, just the way that they conduct themselves and put on these events, and I can't wait to go back and watch this broadcast. And shout out to you guys up there in the broadcast booth. Definitely ready to go back and watch this one. So, but yeah, that's all I got.
Absolutely. And Joe, thank you for talking to us. Congrats on the third place finish, and hopefully we'll see you again soon.
Definitely. We'll see you, miss.
All right. Well, there you go, Joe Sullivan. Well, I'll tell you what, he seemed pretty amped up, Baker, and I feel like he should be. That was a great finish for not only him, but really a great finish for the top three. So that'll just about wrap up our coverage here tonight. But a bit of an exciting race. I think there were certain aspects to these cars that certain guys weren't quite ready for, but with some practice, Baker, this is certainly seeming like one of the most entertaining cars to watch.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun, and for Sullivan to say that he's not too good in other super speedway cars, but he's good in probably the toughest super speedway car to drive in. Very, very good job by him, and a great job by, the typical front runners here in this car. A couple of them got shuffled back early, got into some wrecks, but the finish produced exactly what we came here to see. A 4 wide through the tri-oval, and Sean English comes out on top. Lightning does strike twice.
Certainly does, and we'll be back next week. But with the next thing that we're really turning our focus towards, obviously, is going to be March Madness. Looking forward to that in just a couple weeks. All right, with that, that's it for tonight. As always, thank you all so much for tuning in. We hope that you enjoyed. That's it for me, Austin Green, alongside Baker here on PGR eSports. And until next time, have a good night.